The first sign that morning is approaching does not come from the sky. It comes from the river. Long before the eastern horizon begins to soften with the faintest trace of light, long before the rooftops of Rome separate themselves from the darkness, and long before the city's countless hearths awaken into life, the Tiber has already begun its quiet conversation with the coming day. The water changes first, not in color, not yet. Its surface remains dark enough to resemble polished obsidian, reflecting only scattered stars that tremble gently upon the slow current. But there is a subtle movement in the air above it, almost too delicate to notice unless one remains perfectly still. The cool breath of the night settles upon the warmer water, and from their silent meeting, ribbons of mist begin to rise. They do not appear all at once. They are born gradually, almost shyly, unfolding from the river in thin silver strands that drift without urgency across the surface before gathering into soft veils. Kings came, kings disappeared, republics rose, empires would follow. The river accepted each of them with equal indifference. To stand beside it now is to understand that Rome was never truly separate from the Tiber. The city did not simply grow beside the water. It learned its rhythm from it. Pause here for a while. There is no reason to hurry. The darkness possesses a remarkable gentleness that disappears once daylight arrives. The air is cool against your skin, carrying the unmistakable freshness that exists only in the final hour before dawn. It smells of damp earth and smooth stone that released yesterday's warmth into the night. The scent of river water rises softly, mineral rich and faintly sweet, mingling with wild grasses growing along the banks. Somewhere nearby, crushed mint has released its fragrance beneath an unseen foot during yesterday's passing. And even now, the faint aroma lingers in the moisture of the soil. Take another slow breath. The world feels astonishingly clean, without the smoke of thousands of hearths, without the dust stirred by wagons and sandals. Every scent remains distinct, layered carefully upon the next, rather than competing against it. You notice the reeds first. Tall, slender stems stand quietly along the river's edge, their narrowed leaves dark with dew. Tiny droplets cling to every blade, so perfectly balanced that they seem almost suspended outside of time itself. Whenever the faintest current of air slips across the water, the reeds bend together with graceful restraint, producing the softest whisper imaginable. Not quite a rustle, not quite a sigh, something in between. It is a sound so gentle that many would never hear it at all. Yet here, before the city awakens, every quiet sound becomes its own small world. A single droplet finally becomes too heavy for one blade of grass. It falls. The sound is almost imperceptible. Another follows, then another. Tiny rhythms hidden beneath larger silences. Kings came, kings disappeared, republics rose, empires would follow. The river accepted each of them with equal indifference. To stand beside it now is to understand that Rome was never truly separate from the Tiber. The city did not simply grow beside the water. It learned its rhythm from it. Pause here for a while. There is no reason to hurry. The darkness possesses a remarkable gentleness that disappears once daylight arrives. The air is cool against your skin, carrying the unmistakable freshness that exists only in the final hour before dawn. It smells of damp earth and smooth stone that released yesterday's warmth into the night. The scent of river water rises softly, mineral rich and faintly sweet, mingling with wild grasses growing along the banks. Somewhere nearby, crushed mint has released its fragrance beneath an unseen foot during yesterday's passing. And even now, the faint aroma lingers in the moisture of the soil. Take another slow breath. The world feels astonishingly clean, without the smoke of thousands of hearths, without the dust stirred by wagons and sandals. Every scent remains distinct, layered carefully upon the next, rather than competing against it. You notice the reeds first. Tall, slender stems stand quietly along the river's edge, their narrowed leaves dark with dew. Tiny droplets cling to every blade, so perfectly balanced that they seem almost suspended outside of time itself. Whenever the faintest current of air slips across the water, the reeds bend together with graceful restraint, producing the softest whisper imaginable. Not quite a rustle, not quite a sigh, something in between. It is a sound so gentle that many would never hear it at all. Yet here, before the city awakens, every quiet sound becomes its own small world. A single droplet finally becomes too heavy for one blade of grass. It falls. The sound is almost imperceptible. Another follows, then another. Tiny rhythms hidden beneath larger silences. The stones along the riverbank have grown smooth through countless seasons. Some are pale limestone, catching what little starlight remains. Others are darker, their surfaces still damp from the previous evening, when the water briefly rose after distant rainfall upstream. Moss clings to the shaded sides, soft beneath careful fingertips and cool with the memory of the night. Near the edge of the water, a weathered wooden post leans slightly toward the current. Its rope has become polished from years of use. Merchant barges have been tied here for so long that grooves have slowly worn into the timber where thick cords tighten and loosen with every changing season. The wood bears countless scars left by iron hooks, rough hands, shifting cargo, and patient time. Nothing about it is beautiful in the grand way marble temples are beautiful. Yet it possesses another kind of beauty, the beauty of faithful service, of quiet usefulness, of surviving another year. Nearby, a small fishing boat rests against the bank. Its hull rises and falls almost imperceptibly with the slow movement of the river. Inside lie neatly coiled nets that still glisten faintly with moisture gathered during the night. Tiny beads of water cling to every knot in the rope, catching the earliest hints of invisible light beginning to gather somewhere beyond the eastern horizon. The fisherman remains asleep beneath a thick wool blanket. Only one weathered hand emerges from the folds of fabric, resting gently against the worn wooden bench beside him. His breathing is slow and deep, perfectly matched to the steady rhythm of the water beneath the boat. For now, both man and river dream together. Then comes the first bird, not the loud chorus that will eventually fill the morning. Only one. Its call is tentative, as though testing the silence before committing fully to the day. The note echoes briefly across the water before disappearing into the mist. Nothing answers. Several moments pass. Then another bird calls from farther upstream. This time, a response comes from somewhere beyond the opposite bank. Invisible voices, invisible wings. The sky remains dark enough that none of them can yet be seen. Their presence is known only through sound. One by one, the river begins introducing its hidden inhabitants. A moor hen glides silently through the reeds, leaving a perfect V-shaped trail behind it. before disappearing once more beneath the mist. Somewhere high above, unseen swallows stir beneath the shelter of ancient stone bridges, shifting restlessly before taking their first effortless flights. Farther away, a heron stands motionless in the shallows. Its long reflection stretches across the dark water, broken only by tiny ripples spreading gently around its slender legs. For so long it remains perfectly still that even the fish seem to forget it is there. Then, with astonishing grace, it moves, not hurriedly, simply precisely. Its beak slips beneath the water, the surface trembles, tiny circles drift outward, a single silver fish disappears. Moments later, stillness returns. The river accepts every movement without disturbance. It remembers nothing. It keeps no record. Everything flows onward. Across the water, the sleeping city slowly begins to reveal itself. Only the highest rooftops can now be distinguished from the darkness. Temple pediments emerge first, pale against the eastern sky. Tall columns become faint silhouettes. The outlines of distant hills sharpen little by little. Rome still appears less like a city than a dream resting upon 7 gentle ridges. Marble and brick remain indistinguishable. Palaces and humble dwellings wear the same quiet darkness. The senator, the laborer, the widow, the merchant, the child. For these final moments before dawn, every life rests beneath the same sky. Titles disappear, wealth disappears, only humanity remains. The mist notices the coming light before anyone else. Its silver veils begin glowing softly from within, not because the sun has risen, only because it is approaching. The eastern horizon now carries the faintest hint of pearl beneath the fading stars. The river reflects it almost reluctantly. Gray becomes silver. Silver begins leaning gently toward blue. Everything changes so slowly that no single moment announces the arrival of morning. The darkness simply grows lighter. The stars surrender one by one. A final bright star lingers above the western hills before quietly fading into the brightening sky. The world pauses between 2 days. The silence possesses an extraordinary kindness. It asks nothing. It expects nothing. It simply allows every living thing another peaceful breath before the city awakens. Then, somewhere beyond the riverbank, another sound quietly enters the morning. The dull scrape of wood against stone. A pause, then another. Measured, unhurried. A heavy wooden door is being opened. The sound drifts through a narrow lane where dew still gathers between worn paving stones. The street belongs more to the night than to the day. Every surface remains cool, every shadow remains deep. Moisture clings to the ancient stone where generations of cartwheels have carved shallow grooves into the pavement. Tiny droplets sparkle faintly whenever they catch the first invisible traces of dawn. A figure steps into the cool air. His wool cloak rests comfortably upon his shoulders, not because the morning is cold, because habit has taught him that every day begins this way. He pauses, not to admire the sky, only to confirm what experience already knows. Morning is near. The stars are fading. The baker breathes deeply. Fresh river air has wandered this far into the city. It mingles now with another familiar fragrance. Grain, flour, dry timber. The old bakery has absorbed these scents over countless years. Its beams remember harvest after harvest. Its walls remember the warmth of thousands of fires. Even empty shelves seem to carry the quiet memory of bread. He steps back inside. Darkness still fills the room. Only a thin ribbon of fading moonlight slips through a narrow opening high upon the wall. It is enough. He knows every corner by memory. The broad wooden work table waits patiently at the center of the room. Its surface has grown smooth beneath decades of kneading hands. Tiny marks remain where knives once rested. Faint scratches cross one another like invisible maps left behind by generations of ordinary mornings. Nothing about the table is decorative. Its beauty comes entirely from purpose. Against the far wall stands the great stone oven, silent, patient. Yesterday's fire appears long gone. Only pale ash rests inside the wide opening. Yet appearances often deceive. The baker kneels. Beside him waits a basket filled with carefully gathered kindling. Dry olive branches, slender vine cuttings, thin curls of fragrant pine. Nothing has been wasted. Nothing has been gathered carelessly. Every piece of wood has its moment. He reaches into the ash with a long iron rod. Gray powder shifts softly. Small fragments of charcoal roll gently against warm stone. For several moments, nothing happens. Then, deep beneath the cooling ash, a tiny point of crimson appears, barely larger than the head of a pin. Yesterday's fire has survived the entire night. The baker smiles quietly. No words accompany the expression. None are needed. One living ember means another morning has begun with kindness. Carefully, he lays the thinnest twigs above the glowing coal. He waits. Fire cannot be hurried. Silence returns. Then, the faintest ribbon of smoke begins rising through the darkness. It curls lazily upward before disappearing beneath the soot-darkened ceiling. The smell arrives almost immediately. Sweet olive wood, dry, clean, comfortingly familiar. The baker leans forward. One gentle breath, the ember brightens. Orange replaces crimson. Another breath. A tiny flame appears, no larger than a leaf. It flickers uncertainly, then steadies itself. Golden light begins touching the nearest stones. Yesterday's flour glows softly upon the floor. The oven breathes once more. Outside, the city still sleeps. Inside, another day has quietly begun. One armful of wood follows another. Thicker branches now, then carefully split logs stacked with practiced precision so that air may pass freely between them. The flames accept each offering with quiet enthusiasm. Crack, pop. A shower of tiny sparks rises briefly before disappearing into the darkness above. The sound is deeply comforting, not loud, not dramatic, simply constant, like rain falling upon leaves, like waves meeting a distant shore, the ancient rhythm of fire performing the work for which it has always been tended. Soon the scent changes again. The sweetness of fresh burning wood deepens into something richer, warmer. The fragrance of heated stone begins to mingle with faint traces of yesterday's bread still lingering inside the oven walls. Thousands of loaves have baked within this chamber over the years, and somehow the stone seems unwilling to forget them completely. Heat possesses memory. So does bread. Along the shelves lining one wall rest heavy linen cloths draped over broad wooden bowls. The baker approaches them quietly. Lifting the first cloth releases another invisible world into the room. The smell of fermenting dough rises slowly into the warm air. It is alive, not in the obvious way that birds or trees are alive, but with a quieter vitality all its own. The surface has risen gently through the night, forming soft, rounded hills dusted lightly with flour. Tiny pockets beneath the smooth skin hold countless invisible breaths produced by the patient work of yeast while the city slept. The dough has been changing in darkness, minute by minute, hour by hour, without witness, without sound. The baker presses one finger lightly into its surface. The impression remains only briefly before slowly disappearing. He nods, almost imperceptibly. It is ready. From another room comes the sound of careful footsteps, not hurried, respectful. An apprentice enters carrying 2 fresh sacks of finely milled wheat upon narrow shoulders. He speaks softly, almost instinctively, matching the quiet mood of the hour. There is little need for conversation. Both know precisely what must be done. Together, they move through familiar motions repeated so many mornings that words have become unnecessary companions. One measures flour, another carries water drawn only moments earlier from a nearby fountain. A third wipes yesterday's dust from smooth wooden paddles used to guide loaves deep into the growing heat. Outside, the street remains cool. Mist still clings to the lower stones where sunlight has yet to reach. Yet, from beneath the bakery door, the first warm amber glow slips quietly across the pavement. It stretches only a short distance before dissolving into the lingering darkness. Soon, another bakery farther down the lane awakens, then another. One by one, tiny islands of warmth begin appearing throughout the sleeping city. Seen from above, they might resemble stars returning to Earth. Each oven kindled before dawn, each hearth preparing nourishment for families who have not yet opened their eyes. The fragrance of baking has not yet arrived. That will come later, when the first rounds of dough meet the heated stone. For now, the city breathes only wood smoke and flour, a humble beginning. Yet few scents speak more faithfully of morning in ancient Rome. Long before merchants unlock their shops, long before magistrates enter the forum, long before philosophers gather beneath shaded porticos, there is this, the quiet awakening of the ovens, the slow birth of warmth, the patient transformation of grain into bread, a labor so ordinary that history rarely pauses to remember it. And yet, without these unseen fires, the great city itself could never awaken. The warmth slips quietly beyond the threshold of the bakery and into the waiting streets, joining the countless unseen beginnings unfolding throughout the city. Rome does not awaken all at once. It awakens one room at a time, one household at a time, one carefully opened door, one whispered greeting, one quietly rekindled fire. If you stand very still upon one of the narrow streets climbing away from the river, you may notice that the city seems to breathe rather than stir. No single moment announces the arrival of morning. There is no bell that commands every citizen to rise together. Instead, awakening spread through the neighborhoods as dawn itself spreads across the sky. Slowly, patiently, almost invisibly. A single window opens, then another. A shutter creaks softly upon its hinges before remaining still once more. Somewhere above, a clay flower pot is moved a few inches across a wooden sill with such care that it produces little more than the faint scrape of baked earth against weathered timber. Every sound remains wrapped in restraint. Most of Rome still sleeps. The streets grow narrower here. Tall apartment buildings rise on either side, their upper stories leaning so far outward that they nearly seem to greet one another across the lane. Between them, only a slender ribbon of sky remains visible, still carrying the fading stars, while the first pale colors of dawn begin to gather beyond the eastern horizon. These are the insulae. To a traveler seeing them for the first time, they appear almost improbable. Story upon story rises above the street, supported by timber beams darkened with age and brick walls patched countless times through generations of careful repair. Fresh plaster brightens one section, while another bears the stains of old rainwater that has found the same path down the wall every winter for years beyond memory. Nothing matches perfectly. Nothing was intended to. Each repair tells the story of another season survived. The buildings possess a quiet resilience, not elegant, not grand, simply determined. Wooden balconies project above the street like small islands suspended in the cool morning air. Laundry hangs forgotten from lines stretched between them, stirring almost imperceptibly in the faint breeze descending from the hills. A child's small sandal rests where it was left the previous evening. Beside it stands a clay cup turned upside down to keep insects from settling inside during the night. Tiny details, the kind history seldom records, yet they remain among the truest traces of ordinary life. Within these walls, families sleep astonishingly close together. Step quietly. The floors are old. The timber has learned to complain beneath careless feet. Behind one narrow door, scarcely taller than the man who enters through it each evening, an entire household shares a single room. The darkness has begun to soften. Shapes emerge slowly. A simple wooden table stands beside the wall. Its surface bears shallow cuts left by knives, scratches from pottery, and the faint circular marks of bowls placed in exactly the same positions for years. A rough shelf supports several clay vessels whose surfaces catch the first gray light filtering through the small window. Nothing here is unnecessary. Every object serves a purpose. Every possession has earned its place. Upon straw-filled mattresses laid directly across the floor, the family still rests. A young boy sleeps with one arm stretched across his younger sister, both wrapped beneath coarse wool blankets repaired so many times that new threads weave through old like vines climbing ancient stone. Near them, their mother has already awakened. She remains perfectly still for several breaths, not because she wishes to continue sleeping, because she is listening. The room has become so familiar that she can tell simply by sound who remains asleep and who has begun drifting toward wakefulness. The slow breathing of children, the quieter rhythm of her elderly mother resting near the wall, the faint whistle carried within her husband's breath after years spent working among the dust of construction sites. She knows each sound as completely as she knows her own heartbeat. Carefully, she lifts the blanket aside. The straw beneath rustles softly. She pauses. No one stirs. Satisfied, she rises. Her bare feet meet the cool wooden floor with practiced gentleness. Every loose board has been memorized. Every place likely to creak is avoided almost unconsciously. The room remains peaceful. She crosses toward the window. Its wooden shutter opens only the width of 2 fingers. Cool morning air enters immediately, fresh, damp, filled with the distant scent of wood smoke now spreading slowly from dozens of awakening bakeries below. She closes her eyes for a single moment. Already, somewhere nearby, another household begins to wake. A whispered conversation slips gently through the thin wall separating neighboring rooms. The words themselves cannot be understood, only their softness, a quiet reassurance. A mother reminding her son that there is still time before work. Someone coughs. Another laughs sleepily, before remembering the hour and lowering their voice once more. Life passes easily between these walls. The buildings are crowded enough that few secrets remain entirely private. The cry of an infant becomes everyone's concern. The smell of soup prepared downstairs rises steadily through gaps between the floorboards. A song hummed absent-mindedly while mending clothes may accompany 3 or 4 neighboring families before fading into silence. Privacy is rare. Community is unavoidable. Below, in the shared courtyard, yesterday's rainwater still lingers in shallow depressions between worn paving stones. A stray cat slips silently across the empty space, pausing beside an overturned basket before deciding there is nothing worth investigating. Above, pigeons shuffle across uneven roof tiles. One launches suddenly into the cool air, its wings producing a brief rush of sound that echoes gently between the surrounding walls. The city grows brighter by degrees. Gray becomes pale blue. The edges of buildings sharpen. Details long hidden by darkness begin quietly returning to view. Smoke now rises from more chimneys, thin at first, then thicker. Each pale column announces another family, beginning the ordinary rituals that will carry them through another day. Far above these crowded neighborhoods, where the streets widen and the hills welcome cooler breezes before sunrise, another morning unfolds with entirely different rhythms. The climb itself feels quieter. The buildings stand farther apart. Gardens appear behind high walls fashioned from carefully fitted stone. Cypress trees rise motionless against the brightening sky. Their dark silhouettes remain perfectly still, as though keeping silent watch over generations who have lived and died within the elegant homes hidden beyond. Here, the city seems almost reluctant to speak. Large bronze doors remain closed. Their polished surfaces reflect the earliest traces of dawn with muted warmth. Stone thresholds have been worn smooth, not by hurried crowds, but by measured footsteps repeated over decades. The sounds of the lower districts seem wonderfully distant. Only birdsong reaches these heights with complete clarity. A blackbird settles upon the rim of a marble fountain before taking several quick drinks from water that has flowed continuously throughout the night. Each tiny ripple spreads across the basin before fading into perfect stillness. Beyond one doorway lies a domus. Its outer walls reveal almost nothing. Like many Roman homes of wealth, its greatest beauty has been reserved for those invited inside. Cross the threshold quietly. The transition feels immediate. The sounds of the street vanish behind thick walls. Cool air embraces you. The scent changes. Fresh plaster, polished cedar, olive oil, beeswax, a faint trace of roses carried inward yesterday from the garden. At the center of the house rests the atrium. Open to the sky above, it welcomes the first pale light of dawn long before the inner rooms awaken. Beneath the square opening in the roof lies the shallow pool that gathers rainwater through the changing seasons. Its surface is perfectly calm. Then, one drop falls from the edge of a roof tile still heavy with dew. The circle widens. Another follows several moments later. The quiet music of water accompanies the morning more gently than any instrument could. Marble columns surrounding the atrium glow softly beneath the growing light. Their smooth surfaces bear delicate veins of gray and pale gold formed deep within the earth, countless ages before Roman hands transformed them into architecture. Each column supports painted beams whose colors remain surprisingly vivid despite years of sunlight. Deep reds, warm ochres, hints of blue. Nothing here has been placed without intention. Order itself has become decoration. Near the pool stands a bronze oil lamp whose flame finally flickers low after burning through the night. Its last glow reflects briefly upon the water before surrendering to the growing daylight entering from above. Beyond the atrium, silence continues. Heavy linen curtains remain drawn across wide doorways. Bedrooms stay wrapped in cool shadows. Within one lies the master of the household. He has not yet awakened. Fine linen rests lightly across his shoulders, woven so skillfully that it scarcely seems to possess weight at all. The mattress beneath him is filled not with straw, but with soft wool, carefully prepared for comfort. Even in sleep, the room speaks quietly of abundance. Yet beyond these peaceful walls, the same dawn has already reached the baker, the fisherman, the laborer, the widow, the child in the crowded insula. Morning belongs to them all alike. The sun, still hidden below the horizon, has not yet chosen between marble and timber. Its first light will fall upon every rooftop with equal generosity. Human hands, however, will greet that light in very different ways. In the quiet chambers of the great houses, before the master opens his eyes, before the children of the household stir beneath fine linen, before guests awaken in carefully prepared rooms overlooking gardens scented with rosemary and bay, another household has already been awake for some time. It is a household that remains largely unseen. Its footsteps are softer, its voices quieter. Its presence almost disappears into the architecture itself. Yet without it, the great house would remain motionless. Deep within the domus, beyond painted reception halls and elegant courtyards where rainwater gathers beneath the open sky, narrow service corridors weave quietly between storerooms, kitchens, workshops, and sleeping quarters reserved for those whose names seldom appear in letters or inscriptions. The ceilings are lower here. The walls are plain. Decoration gives way to usefulness. The stone beneath bare feet is cool enough to carry the memory of the night. Oil lamps burn with small, steady flames fixed inside simple bronze brackets, their light warm but restrained, revealing little more than the next few steps ahead. Beyond that gentle circle of amber, the corridors dissolve into soft shadow. A woman rises from a simple pallet laid upon the floor. For a brief moment, she remains seated, listening. Not because she expects danger, because habit has taught her that every morning begins by understanding the house before moving through it. She hears water, only a faint trickle. The small basin in the atrium continues receiving droplets gathered from the roof above. Somewhere farther away, a wooden door closes with careful restraint. Another servant is already at work. She draws a slow breath. The air carries familiar scents: cold stone, lamp oil, fresh rushes scattered across yesterday's floors, a trace of lavender lingering from garments stored in cedar chests. Soon those fragrances will disappear beneath the richer smells of baking bread, warming porridge, herbs crushed beneath heavy mortars, and charcoal slowly coming back to life. For now, the house still belongs to quiet. She wraps a plain wool shawl around her shoulders and steps into the corridor. Every movement has become almost silent through years of repetition. She knows precisely where the floor narrows, which threshold sits slightly higher than the others. which hinges complain if opened too quickly. The house has become a map committed entirely to memory. Another servant appears from the darkness carrying a small clay lamp cupped carefully within both hands. They exchange no greeting, only the briefest glance. Words feel unnecessary before sunrise. Their work has already begun. Together, they descend several shallow steps toward the kitchen. The room lies at the rear of the house, where smoke may rise more easily through carefully built vents above the great hearth. It is larger than many entire homes elsewhere in the city, yet its walls remain blackened from years of cooking fires that have slowly painted the plaster with delicate layers of soot. The hearth itself waits in darkness. Yesterday's flames have long since faded. Only pale ash remains scattered across broad stone. Beside it rests a neat stack of olive wood, each log cut to nearly identical length, carefully seasoned beneath shelter through many changing seasons. Nothing has been placed carelessly. Fuel is valuable. Time is valuable. Morning demands both. One servant kneels before the hearth. The stone is cold beneath her knees. With patient hands, she gathers yesterday's ashes aside, searching gently through the gray powder with an iron poker. The motion is deliberate, almost tender, disturbing only small portions at a time. A faint glow answers her effort. Hidden deep within the ashes, a single ember has survived the night, small enough to fit beneath a fingertip, yet alive. She smiles, almost imperceptibly. The morning has offered a kindness. Dry straw is arranged above the tiny crimson light, then slender olive twigs. Nothing more. The flame must not be overwhelmed. She leans forward. Her hands, roughened by years of labor, form a careful shelter around the growing spark. The skin across her palms bears countless tiny scars earned from hot pots, rough rope, winter firewood, and stone grinding wheels. Fine white lines cross one another in patterns no artist could have imagined. She breathes gently, once, twice. The ember brightens. Smoke rises first, thin, blue-gray. Its fragrance is delicate, carrying the unmistakable sweetness of dry olive branches meeting warmth after long months beneath the sun. Another careful breath. The straw darkens, its edges curl inward. Then comes the first flame. It is almost impossibly small, a quiet bloom of gold no larger than a leaf. Yet it transforms the room. The nearest stones begin catching its light. Bronze vessels resting upon wooden shelves awaken from darkness, their rounded sides reflecting tiny fragments of moving fire. Shadows stretch and shorten across the walls with every flicker until the kitchen itself seems to inhale alongside the growing blaze. Soon, another servant feeds thicker branches into the hearth. The crackle begins softly, one sharp pop, then another. Resin hidden within seasoned wood releases itself with tiny bursts of sound, each one echoing gently beneath the low ceiling. Warmth arrives slowly. The first change is almost imagined. The cool air pressing against exposed fingers becomes slightly less severe. The scent of heated stone joins the fragrance of fresh smoke. The morning has taken another step. Nearby, a shelf of bronze cookware catches the dancing firelight. Pots of every size hang from sturdy iron hooks fixed into heavy beams overhead. Ladles rest together inside broad jars. Mortars carved from dark volcanic stone wait beside smooth wooden pestles polished by countless hands. One servant begins lowering the vessels one by one. Each movement produces the quietest music. Bronze touching bronze, a muted ring, a gentle hollow note. Nothing abrupt, only the familiar conversation of tools greeting another day. She pauses to polish the rim of a large mixing bowl with a square of clean linen. Not because anyone has instructed her to, because habit has taught her that every surface deserves care. Across the room, another servant lifts an empty amphora from the floor. Its clay walls are thick. Its rounded body presses heavily against her shoulder. Even empty, it demands effort. Soon, it must be filled. She steps back into the cool morning. Outside, dawn has brightened enough that the sky now carries soft shades of pearl and pale blue. The air remains fresh, brushing gently across her face as she walks toward the courtyard well. The great walls emerge gradually. Long before their full height becomes visible, their presence is felt. They rise beyond surrounding buildings with astonishing certainty, their curved outer arc embracing an immense space hidden within. Thousands upon thousands of carefully placed stones stand together so perfectly that the structure appears less assembled than grown. The afternoon sun has warmed every surface. Touch the pale limestone and you will find it holding the memory of many hours beneath the relentless sky. The stone is not merely warm, it almost breathes heat. Air shimmers gently above broad stairways. The scent here is different from the markets, less fragrant, more mineral. Warm dust settles upon every ledge. Fine particles lifted by countless sandals drift almost invisibly through shafts of sunlight before returning once more to the ancient pavement. Enter quietly. The brightness of the afternoon gives way almost immediately to cool shadow. The passage beneath the seating tiers narrows. The air changes. Outside, sunlight seemed endless. Here it arrives only in scattered fragments, falling through distant arches overhead. Stone surrounds you on every side. Its immense weight creates a silence unlike that of dawn. Not empty, contained. Even whispers travel strangely here. A single footstep touches one wall before returning softly from another. Leather sandals brush against worn paving. Someone clears a throat farther along the corridor. The sound lingers briefly before dissolving into the darkness beyond. Above your head, unseen by all below, tens of thousands of spectators continue arriving. You cannot yet see them, only hear them. A narrow doorway reveals another corridor, descending gently beneath the arena. Here, the light grows dimmer still. Oil lamps burn steadily inside bronze brackets fixed to the walls, their flames wavering ever so slightly whenever a current of air wanders through the tunnels. The scent of warm oil mingles with something older, something unmistakably metallic. Iron. Not fresh, not harsh, simply present, patient. Helmets rest upon wooden benches where careful hands have polished them until they catch tiny fragments of lamplight despite the surrounding gloom. Spears lean together against the wall. Their ash shafts remain smooth beneath practiced fingers. Sword hilts show the subtle wear left by years of training. Leather straps have grown dark where countless palms have tightened them before entering the light above. Nearby hangs a broad shield. Its bronze rim bears small marks accumulated over many seasons. Tiny impressions, fine scratches, scarcely noticeable. Each one a silent memory preserved within metal. The air itself feels heavier here, not only because the corridors are enclosed, because so many emotions have lingered within these walls. Hope, fear, resolve, uncertainty. None leave visible traces. Yet one cannot help imagining that ancient stone remembers more faithfully than parchment ever could. Water drips somewhere in the darkness. Slowly, one measured drop at a time, its quiet rhythm continues undisturbed despite the growing murmur overhead. A groom speaks softly while calming an anxious horse waiting in another chamber. Farther away comes the muted scrape of leather being adjusted, buckles tightened, knots checked once more. Every movement performed with remarkable care. No one wastes energy. The afternoon demands enough already. Against one wall sits a man whose face remains half hidden beneath shadow. His helmet rests beside him. Without it, he appears almost ordinary. The years have left their patient record upon him. A pale scar crosses one eyebrow before disappearing into short, dark hair. Another, thinner than a reed, follows the line of his forearm where old wounds healed long ago. His hands rest quietly upon his knees. They are powerful hands, not because of their size, because of their history. The skin across the palms has thickened into smooth calluses, polished by rope, wood, leather, and iron. Tiny white lines cross the knuckles where old cuts quietly became part of him. He neither speaks nor prays. Instead, he listens. The crowd above, the breathing of those nearby, the soft crackle of an oil lamp, the distant ringing of metal as someone carefully sets down a helmet rather than allowing it to fall. These sounds belong to the present moment, simple, certain. Outside the tunnel, the afternoon continues without hesitation. Children laugh in distant streets. Bread cools upon wooden shelves. Merchants count their coins beneath shaded awnings. Water continues flowing through fountains exactly as it did at dawn. The river still makes its slow journey toward the sea. The city breathes with tireless regularity. Yet here, beneath layers of ancient stone, time feels strangely suspended. There is only waiting. Waiting possesses its own remarkable weight. It asks nothing of the body except stillness, yet it asks everything of the mind. The man closes his eyes. For a brief moment, the voices above seem farther away. He feels the cool stone supporting his back, the warmth gathering beneath his hands, the steady rise and fall of his own breathing. Dust hangs quietly in the shafts of light, falling through narrow openings high overhead, each tiny particle turning lazily before disappearing again into shadow. Someone places a reassuring hand upon another shoulder. No words accompany the gesture. None are needed. The corridor itself seems to understand silence. Then, somewhere ahead, a gate begins to move. Wood slides against stone with a deep, deliberate sound. Not hurried, not dramatic, simply inevitable. A narrow line of brilliant daylight appears beneath the doorway. It is astonishing after so much shadow. Pure white at first, then slowly resolving into radiant gold. Warm air enters immediately. It carries with it the scent of sun-heated sand, dry limestone, freshly turned earth, and the distant breath of thousands waiting beyond the light. The brightness stretches farther into the tunnel, laying a path across the worn stone floor. It reaches helmets, shields, sandals, patient hands. Then at last, it reaches the face of the waiting man. He opens his eyes. For one silent heartbeat, shadow and sunlight meet upon the ancient threshold, while beyond the doorway the vast amphitheater waits beneath the endless Roman sky, brilliant enough that the afternoon itself seems carved from light. As the hours pass, the golden softness of dawn gives itself to the certainty of day. The long shadows that stretched across the paving stones withdraw with quiet reluctance, slipping beneath balconies, beneath porticos, beneath the overhanging roofs of crowded streets, where they will remain until evening, calls them forth again. The cool breath that descended from the hills before sunrise grows lighter with every passing moment, surrendering little by little to a warmth carried upon the brightening air. The city does not notice the change all at once. It happens too gradually for that. A baker removes his wool cloak without thinking. A merchant pushes his stall another step into the shade before continuing his work. A fountain, which only hours ago seemed wrapped in morning freshness, now catches sunlight upon its surface until every ripple glitters almost painfully bright. Even the stone begins to change. The great paving blocks beneath countless sandals have spent the entire morning drinking the light. Slowly, they awaken into warmth, releasing the night's lingering coolness, until walking upon them no longer carries the memory of darkness, but the promise of the afternoon still to come. It is astonishing, after so much shadow, pure white at first, then slowly resolving into radiant gold. Warm air enters immediately. It carries with it the scent of sun-heated sand, dry limestone, freshly turned earth, and the distant breath of thousands waiting beyond the light. The brightness stretches farther into the tunnel, laying a path across the worn stone floor. It reaches helmets, shields, sandals, patient hands. Then at last, it reaches the face of the waiting man. He opens his eyes. For one silent heartbeat, shadow and sunlight meet upon the ancient threshold, while beyond the doorway the vast amphitheater waits beneath the endless Roman sky, brilliant enough that the afternoon itself seems carved from light. As the hours pass, the golden softness of dawn gives itself to the certainty of day. The long shadows that stretched across the paving stones withdraw with quiet reluctance, slipping beneath balconies, beneath porticos, beneath the overhanging roofs of crowded streets, where they will remain until evening calls them forth again. The cool breath that descended from the hills before sunrise grows lighter with every passing moment, surrendering little by little to a warmth carried upon the brightening air. The city does not notice the change all at once. It happens too gradually for that. A baker removes his wool cloak without thinking. A merchant pushes his stall another step into the shade before continuing his work. A fountain, which only hours ago seemed wrapped in morning freshness, now catches sunlight upon its surface until every ripple glitters almost painfully bright. Even the stone begins to change. The great paving blocks beneath countless sandals have spent the entire morning drinking the light. Slowly, they awaken into warmth, releasing the night's lingering coolness, until walking upon them no longer carries the memory of darkness, but the promise of the afternoon still to come.